What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake.
And I'm Chris.
And we are, yet again, out here in the wood yard. And today is kind of a sad day.
Yeah,
A
very
little
sad.
bit. It is sad because there's some crotch rocket going by over here, I guess. But today is a sad day because today is going to be the final day that we have this particular brute force 1424 firewood processor here in the wood yard. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which side of the equation you are on, this thing has sold, and the owner is actually coming this evening to come and pick it up. So Chris and I thought it would be apropos to do a little final thoughts splitting session. We have some really nice birch on the live deck right now, and plenty more of it over here from the trees that I cut down during the whole lawn expansion, regrading project. And we haven't really split with it in a while because Chris got married 2 weeks ago. I got married a month before that. So we thought it would just, do it justice to do one final video with this machine and kind of let you know our final thoughts overall. We've split a lot of wood with it, several cords, mostly cherry with it, and it's been awesome having it. I gotta thank AJ Shaver over at Shaver Equipment. This is on loan from him. He does the log lift bags, he does the log lift bag racks, he does brute force processors, all different sorts of Halverson firewood processors for your skid steer or tractor and stuff like that. So be sure to go check out his website. I'll put a link down in the description below. For all your firewood bag needs, the log lift bags, which I really didn't use before we kind of hooked up with AJ. But I gotta say, I was just talking to Chris off camera. We both really like them. I think they're a cool alternative to totes, especially if totes are expensive or not as readily available as they are to us. So without much more talking, we're gonna fire up the machine, run some wood through it, fill up a couple totes, and then we'll give you our final thoughts on the processor at the end of the video. conveyor works. Maybe even too well for that matter. And you'll notice in here that we have Chris's patented IBC toe cutout filler. You know, some women like lip filler, we like IBC toe filler. This one's a little overfull, so we're gonna have to transfer some of this into the next tote, but you know, stuff's making nice firewood really quick. So, and you know, I'm just sitting there drinking a beer. All right, guys, we just got 2 full totes of birch, mostly birch, a little bit of beech, split up with this brute force 1424 processor. Now, you saw us, you know, splitting, running the controls, the machine, the live deck and everything. Now keep in mind, this is the smallest processor that brute force makes. It's powered by a 26 horsepower Kohler motor. You can upgrade to a larger one with a diesel. It does have the upgraded, longer, like log trough live deck. Normally, this is a 3-strand live deck. Normally, it just comes standard with a 2-strand. So this longer, you know, live deck and frame gives it the ability to obviously hold longer logs, which is a very nice feature. It has the upgraded, I don't know what they call it. It's basically a dump valve so that the ram returns faster than it normally would. With the upgraded motor, which is the diesel, you can run the saw and the ram at the same time, the hydraulic cylinder at the same time. With this model, you can run the ram. You can run the ram.
You can clamp your log.
And you can run the trough to feed the log, but you just can't cut.
Yes.
Right. Which honestly, like, I guess if you're doing high volume production, first of all, you're probably not going to have this machine. So I don't know that really matters. Where that extra power, I think, would come in handy is with the
splitting ram.
Yeah, the splitting ram itself, like the power that it has. Because every now and then you will bog down this machine if you're not feeding through perfectly straight crotchless pieces. Yeah, it surprised me. There have been very few pieces that I haven't been able to split. And most of the time I've been running this 8-way wedge. This 8-way wedge. Okay, so now let's go into our final wrap-up thoughts on this thing. Because there's a lot of things that I like. There's just a couple things that I don't like. The first thing that I don't like is this 8-way wedge. This 8-way wedge has a tendency to ride up. I don't know...
I'm sorry to cut you off. Is it just the 8-way, or when you have the 4-way in, does it also ride?
No, the 4-way seemed to be okay.
Okay.
And I've been told by AJ Shaver and Josh, the owner of Brute Force, that the 8-way does have a tendency to ride up. Their solution to that is that I guess there is a setting, like a relief valve on the cylinder that controls the wedge lift up and down that you can adjust to make it, you know, relieve itself at a higher or lower pressure. Right now, I think that it's set pretty low, so that wedge does tend to ride up. Just because this was a demo, I didn't want to mess around with it, you know, changing adjustments and everything like that. I think that this machine would be perfectly suited. I believe they offer a 6-way wide wedge. You'll notice here in the splitting trough that this 8-way wedge isn't the full width of the trough, which is nice to be able to pull out resplits and cycle them right back. But if it was a full wider width, I think a lot of the pieces wouldn't splay out quite as much, and it would just have less room for the wood to move around.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was one of my biggest gripes. I know what your biggest gripe was. Tell me. Your biggest gripe is the noise that this darn conveyor puts out.
Yes.
Look, we're both wearing 3M work tunes. You know, we work around chippers all day. This conveyor
is loud.
It's piercing. It's not a drone of a motor or, you know, of an exhaust or something. This thing is loud. It's metal on metal. I'm not sure what exactly the cause of it is. Comparing the two roller chains from the Brute Force to the EASTONMADE, this Brute Force roller chain, the rollers don't hit the trough of the conveyor at all. They're too small. I don't know if that's on purpose or for a reason, but when you look at the EASTONMADE, the actual, you know, bearings, I guess you would call them, or rollers,
yeah,
in between each side of each link,
the piece that actually contacts the sprocket,
are larger than the height of the chain itself. So it actually rolls on the truck. This thing is really loud.
So the rails of the chain actually ride on
Yeah.
the trough of the conveyor,
Exactly.
which
They're just
we
riding
believe
up.
is where the noise comes from.
So that would probably be the number one biggest gripe that both of us have. And the second thing being the wedge. My last and final gripe about this machine, and these are all very small things. I mean, this machine really works well. And this is kind of a double-edged sword because this machine is very ergonomic. You can see when I stand here, the controls are right here. You're not bending over, you're not reaching up. It's at a very ergonomic height. This is a machine designed for a smaller production firewood operation where, you know, you have a smaller machine, you don't have big tall loaders, the live deck is nice and low, you can easily load it with the tractor or the Cormidi skid steer. All the controls are low. But that being said, the machine itself is also very low. So when you come down in here to where the wedge adjustment is, you can see just how much material falls down through these grates. And it's awesome to have these grates, but the machine is very low. So the wedge is only a couple inches off the ground. This material, if you're processing all day, you're gonna have to clean this out 2 or 3 times because this wedge is gonna start hitting that material and you will no longer be able to drop your wedge all the way down. If you're splitting like we split, I like to keep that wedge dropped almost all the way down to guarantee and ensure that those 2 lowest pieces are gonna be the right size. And then you can just flip back the pieces and resplit the larger pieces on the top. Which brings me to all the pros of this machine.
I have 2 more negatives. I don't
I'm
need to
sorry.
be a Debbie Downer.
No.
2 more negatives for me is I'm pretty lazy. As you know, people don't see it on the channel because I do more work than Jake does, clearly, but I am pretty lazy. All of the startup controls for this machine are way back there on the other side of the machine.
That's true.
If there was a throttle control or a key switch on
right here,
the main control panel, I think that would make it a whole lot nicer to me. I don't want to walk all the way around the thing.
Well, because the thing is long,
sounds.
and
Yes.
you got to walk all the way around.
And this is the extended model as well, so you know, there's that. The very last thing, you probably shouldn't have it on many machines, is a cup holder.
Cup holder.
I was running this, I spilled my beer, I spilled Jake's beer, drink, whatever you want to call it. It'd be nice if there was something on here. Very minor gripe.
Yeah.
But, you know, something to think about. Onto the pros.
Onto the pros.
Yes, no more negatives.
The pros of this machine are many. I think the biggest for me in looking at all the different types of firewood processors out there, especially of this smaller realm, a lot of them have the hood, the safety hood, as if, you know, to protect you from stuff shooting out and hitting you in the face. This processor was made in America. It don't have no hood. It's got an open trough. You're standing right here. You got a big old piece of wood that's on top of your wedge because you were, you know, dropping it down like we do. You can just grab the wood, flip it right back into the chamber right here, cycle it through. It's totally open. You're standing right next to it. You can have one hand on your controls, one hand down here. No reach, don't reach, but you know, I'm just saying it's very nice to have this open design as opposed to having to lift up a hood where the hydraulics and everything stop every time you lift up that hood. It's very ergonomic. It's all right here. You have this awesome last log measuring indicator. So if you want a 16-inch piece, you know, and you have a log like this coming through and you're on the last piece, you line up the butt end of, or the very far end, trailing end of that log with your 16-inch mark right here. You cut off the rest, it falls right in here, toss it into your tote right there, and Bob's your uncle, you're ready to keep going. Everything, for the most part, is right here. It has an adjustable speed conveyor. You can raise or lower the speed of the conveyor. So, you know, if you're doing totes or a dump truck or something, you can get one side of your dump truck, speed it up, fill up the other side of your dump truck. It's really nice. You got your saw pressure, your clamp pressure, your splitter pressure, all easily right here. Your saw oiler is right here, this blue knob. Your auto cycle is right here. You got your lights. Everything's right here. This machine has no brains. Use yours at all times. So, you know, that's the name of the game with these machines. They're dangerous machines. They have the ability to hurt you very quickly if you're not paying attention. So, you know, whether or not we have pros, we have cons, operate it safely. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. And this machine is very easy to operate safely. It's very user-friendly. You get in sync, get into a rhythm with the controls very easily. So all in all, you know, brute force knocked it out of the park with this one. Granted, this is the first processor that we've gotten to run for any great amount of time, but I think this processor suits an operation like ours perfectly. Because it's a small machine, it doesn't take up a ton of space. It has an 18-inch, you know, capacity for diameter of wood, which I wouldn't recommend running 18-inch wood through this all the time, but the occasional 18-inch log, that's fine. It has the ability to resplit it to get it down to size perfectly. And for a one-man operation or even a two-man operation, I think you can make a lot of firewood very fast with a machine such as this. Yeah, okay. Go up right. All right, guys, so that's gonna wrap this one up. It's been a pleasure having this brute force 1424 processor here. It's made us a lot of firewood.
It has, and it has allowed us to use two machines at the same time, which has been quite the ordeal.
Right, it's been a lot to keep up with, but it's been really fun comparing the two. Because this machine is basically very similar to the EASTONMADE 2228 with the attached conveyor, minus the fact that the EASTONMADE doesn't cut its own wood.
Yeah.
So very similar, you know, specs and everything. It's just been fun comparing the two and the output of them and everything. So I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing the videos that we've made with this machine, because it's a lot of fun to run it. It really is. You have a lot of power in your hands just being able to cut and move logs and everything. And when you get into that rhythm, you kind of feel it, and you can fly through some wood. So I'd really like to send a big thank you out to AJ Shaver. Go check out his website, shaverequipment.com. There's going to be a link down in the description. Check him out for the whole brute force lineup of all their firewood equipment, from grapples to bundlers to tumblers to splitters to processors. He sells a bunch of other really cool firewood related equipment.
AJ works really hard to be lazy.
Yeah,
He's
working
got
hard to be
all
lazy.
the stuff that'll make you a little bit lazy, but still get you that output that you desire.
Yeah, still super productive. I'd like to send a big thank you to Josh over at Brute Force Manufacturing, because all of this kind of manifested itself through him. And I'm really excited for this new owner to come down and pick up his machine. So we'll probably end this video with a little clip of him coming, testing it out if it's still light out, and taking it away. But for now, it's just been awesome. So if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button down below. We'd really appreciate it. Any questions, comments, or feedback on the machine or anything, put it down in that comment section down below. But for now, I'm Jake.
And I'm Chris.
This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you here next time. You had a little frog in your throat, huh?
Yeah, I did. I don't know what happened there.
Good night.
See you later. Safe drive. Well, guys, there she goes. Brute Force 1424. Heading down the road.